What I didn't realize is I was always so busy building and growing and building businesses that I never stopped to think about who I was or what I wanted or what I wanted my future to be. I just didn't ever think about it. I was just always trying to help. So I've grown 3 successful businesses in 25 years, but all of them came at a very significant personal cost to me. And the most recent business, I finally figured out how to build it to where I'm not sacrificing myself, but I'm still taking amazing care of my team members and amazing care of my clients. So this video is to save you from the mistakes that I made. And whether you're thinking of starting a business or maybe you already have started a business and it is not feeling good, or maybe you stopped a business and you want to start another one, this video is for you. So, the first business that I ever started, it came from a need in the marketplace. My dad was a contractor. I was 17 years old. He said, I want to reach real estate agents. Let's figure out how to do it. And so I started that business and then I went and called people out of the phone book and got my first customers. I will never forget my first check being paid to connect different types of contractors with real estate agents. So that one was not a passion business. It turned into a print advertising business. And the mistake I made with that one is I didn't understand how to only accept clients that were in alignment. So I was doing advertising for these companies that I didn't believe in. And it just didn't feel good. And I was not charging enough. And I liked the idea of advertising, but some of the companies I was advertising for, I'm like, I don't think you're good people. I don't want to advertise for you. And then luckily, I gained a bunch of weight doing that job because I was constantly at my computer and just working, working, working. And so then when I gained weight, I was like, I want to lose weight. And this was 20 years ago. And it was before group fitness programs. And I wanted to do obstacle courses like the military. So I started my own boot camp for civilians before that was a thing. And that came out of my own need. And I was obsessed with this business. And so I guess you could say that this was a business started from my passion. However, it was also a business that I deeply needed. And I felt like if I needed it, I felt like I could find other people who also need it, which is one of the key parts in business. If you want to be super successful and make money, offer something that people need. That's really, really important. But with that business, I have to tell you that for the first year, I only had one paying customer, one. But I knew that if one person was as into it as I was, that I could find more. And again, this was before there were fitness boot camps and we had obstacles and things like that. And that company grew to 99 classes a week all over town. I had trucks, I had trailers, I had instructors. We were locally famous. The Biggest Loser got wind of us. I was invited. Anyways, that's another story for another day. That was such a cool business. But then I was having problems and the problems felt insurmountable. We were fighting the Parks and Rec department. They'd kicked us out of the parks. We fought them for years and we always had permits and we always had the right to be there. But all of a sudden they were telling us we couldn't, even though the law said we could. And it was such a big fight. And all of a sudden, I just didn't want to fight anymore. And I wanted my own spot. And so I just went and put first and last month's rent down on a building without a plan, without thinking about it. So now, fast forward, there's 3 locations, one of the buildings I own. And it feels like a mistake, but I don't think I would take it back because I gained so much experience buying a building and trying to survive in brick and mortar I've had brick and mortar for 12 years, I think now, meaning in physical locations. What I didn't realize is I was always so busy building and growing and building businesses that I never stopped to think about who I was or what I wanted or what I wanted my future to be. I just didn't ever think about it. I was just always trying to help people. And I knew that my gyms helped people and I knew that we were doing a good thing. But I am someone who loves freedom. Freedom after health and family is my number one core value after health and family. Those are givens, right? Number one core value. And right now, it has taken me years, literally years, to get unstuck from those businesses so that I could be out here being a digital nomad. And my newest business is completely online. And I can talk about that in a minute. But I didn't realize that those brick and mortar locations were going to make it so that 7 days a week, there was never any time to relax because I never knew when I was going to get a phone call or a message that something was happening. And with brick and mortar, we had to make $83,000 a month before we broke even. And I just never felt comfortable. I never felt like I could afford if something bad were to happen. It just like there were times where we did really, really well in that business, but then something would come and just take all the money. Or I would have an idea that wouldn't quite work out that would take all the money. Like one of my ideas, again, we did obstacle course races before there were obstacle course races. And I wanted to do 100 obstacle course in the desert, and it caused us problems. And it was so cool, but it was so hard and it wore out my team and we lost money and we lost time. And there are so many times where I was just like, I have this idea and I think it's the best idea in the world. And I think this is going to make me a millionaire. I sat my family down in the living room when I had the first idea for the obstacle course. And I was like, Dad, you can drive the tractor. Mom, you can run the registration booth. Like, I thought I was going to give my whole family these cushy jobs and support them all. And like, I could cry about my past self. That didn't happen. The opposite happened. They all had to help me. Nobody got paid. Thank you, family. I love you so much. And I invited my parents. They're coming today. Excuse me. Little emotional because those days were so hard. And that girl was so enthusiastic and so excited about life and what was possible. And I love that girl. I love her. And that's why I'm making these YouTube videos is if you feel like that girl, I want to help you. I want to be there for you. I wouldn't change any of my experiences because now 25 years, 25 crazy years in entrepreneurship, I feel like I have so much to offer to help other people. And I finally did it. So I'm so thankful. I'm not saying don't go for your passions and your dreams. And if you have an idea and you think it's the best idea in the world, go for it. But what I wish I would have done is I wish I would have spent less money on things like eating out. I used to eat out 2 or 3 times a day because I was always so busy. And I would spend so much money. I would buy, like when times were good, I would buy dinner for everybody, lunch for everybody, all my friends. I wish I would have saved money and never got myself into the positions where I have to make this work or else I'm not going to make payroll. I really, really wish I would have done that. And, there's the abundance mindset. I always knew I would be rich one day. I always knew that. So I never worried about spending money when I had it because, I'm going to be rich one day. I appreciate that mindset. I'm not saying it's a bad mindset. I'm not saying that it didn't get me to where I am today. But the problem with that mindset is the crazy amount of stress that accompanied it because I would spend, and I would be making lots of money at the same time. And then all of a sudden something would happen. So I've been through 3 different economic slowdowns, recessions, whatever you want to call them. The 2001, when we had 9/11, everything just went psh. And then 2008, 2009, and then the most recent pandemic. And there were also other things that you don't expect. Like I had an instructor. So I always treated my instructors the way I would want to be treated. And again, I had instructors teaching classes when we were out in the outdoor boot camps all over town. And I had one instructor just take all 3 of his classes and offer it at the same times and locations for a discount. And it just gutted like a third of my business all of a sudden. And things like that happened over and over and over. And then what would happen with if it was an economic slowdown or if there was something like that, or maybe the HVAC unit went out, whatever it was, all of a sudden I would be like, oh man, I have $23,000 in payroll that I need to make on Friday and I don't have the cash. And then I would do something and I would think, okay, what do people need? What do people need? What do people need? And one of the times I was like, you know what? We've never tried to help people with nutrition and I've always struggled with nutrition. Let's figure that out and offer that. And I would send out an email and I would get enough money to cover payroll or I would borrow money. I always paid back my money on time, but I would borrow money. And when I say borrow money, this isn't from rich friends. This is like, hey, can I use your credit card because my Social Security was messed up, so I could never get credit. So everything I've ever done, I bootstrapped, by the way. I bootstrapped from nothing. And then if I borrowed money, it was 18% interest on someone else's credit card. I finally got all of that figured out and bought a building and all of that. I would always figure it out. But the stress ended up really affecting my health. And I feel like I have health problems to this day from that crazy amount of stress that I went through. And so what I'm saying is passion is great, but let's just be smart about it. Let's just have some reserves. Let's not go for broke. You can, though. You can. It's fine. It's fine. Even if you go for it and you completely fail, it's fine. So during the pandemic, I took out a $500,000 EIDL loan to keep the gyms afloat because we lost money literally for years. And I wish I wouldn't have done that. I wish I would have just been like, you know what? It's been a good run. It's been a good run. My ego didn't let me. And the gyms are, doing okay again, but they're still causing me headaches. I don't run them anymore, though. I'm not in them. My new business is doing really, really well, and I'm so thankful to have it. But I'm sharing honestly with you guys about things that I wish I could have done differently to help my future self have a better life for herself. And I think the most important thing is figuring out who you are and what kind of lifestyle you want to have. And I want to be free. Like I said, I want to be by the beach. I want to be by the mountains. I want to travel. And so my newest business, it came from a need. All of my businesses have come from deep needs that I had. Why don't I be the bridge? And why don't I help entrepreneurs get unstuck and unstressed and save them from overwhelm and help them have freedom like I have? So it all fits into my mission, and it's online. They're virtual assistants. We have 80 virtual assistants and we love them and we take great care of them. So anyways, it's a great business. But it was really hard to get started. It was the first 2 years were an absolute slog. Me working nonstop. The people business is a tough business to be in. And now 2 years in, we have amazing systems. And the biggest thing I kept reminding myself is when you're in pain in business. So let's say you start a business and it's all exciting at the beginning. And then comes the part where it gets hard. If it's something that people need and people want, and you're solving a problem in the marketplace, it's okay if a lot of other people are solving the problem too. That doesn't mean that you're not needed. Most people are not willing to go through the pain of figuring out the systems and figuring out how to do it really, really well. And they stop. Maybe it's around year 2, maybe it's around year 1. And if you can just dial in the basics of treating your team well, treating your customers well, giving them something that has value. The value is up here. What they're paying us down here. If you can get through that pain, you'll have a solid business. But just think about what you want your life to look like. So if you love freedom and you love travel, I do not recommend having a store, having a brick and mortar, having a place for people to be. And I was talking to a gym owner last night, and the gym business is so brutal. And I'm talking about the boutique gym business where everyone who pays comes. We're not talking about a Globo gym where there's 10,000 members and only 200 actually use the facilities and they're all paying $10 a month. We're not talking about that. We're talking about the boutique gyms that are like $100 to $200 a month. Everyone who pays comes. And it is a tough business. I don't care what all of the gurus out there say about it. And, oh, you can make it successful. You can. But it requires so much work. The amount of work that I would need to put into a gym to make it successful compared to the amount of work that I need to put into my business right now after I got it off the ground, okay? After I got it off the ground. It's like night and day. I would have to put in 10 years of work compared to what? It's like 10 times the amount of work. And also in a physical space, there's capacity issues. So that business could never be as successful as the business I have right now. I hope that this wasn't discouraging. I'm just trying to give you the real talk. And also, if you go through a course on how to start a business, by the time there's someone making a course about it, it's like usually they did figure it out, but there's a lot of different ways to do everything. And I love courses. I've paid over 6 figures for courses in my lifetime. I love mentors. I love group programs, but just be careful. because there's more than one way to do something. And I think if you haven't been an entrepreneur your whole life, one of the best ways to become an entrepreneur is to go work for somebody who is doing something that looks awesome. Like it looks cool. They're doing something that you would like to do and learn from them and see the ins and the outs and then start your own thing and just be upfront with them that that's what you're going to do. There's totally room in the market for everybody. I think that's how I would do it. But now I've never had a job. I've always worked for myself. So I do not want to go be an employee anywhere. But this virtual assistant business, if I would if if I would have just gone and worked for another virtual assistant agency, I would have learned a lot. And you know what? Maybe though we also wouldn't have done things as well as we do it because Sarah Blakely, who founded Spanx, she says, I'm glad I didn't know what I was supposed to do because then she did it her way. And I do feel that way in this business. We're doing it our way and we're doing it really well. And people are really happy and it's working out. And I'm so thankful. But I did want to talk a little bit about following your passion. I was so passionate about losing weight and working out in fun ways. And I started a business based off that. And it was called Bootcamp Las Vegas. And it was amazing, but it also sucked the life out of me. And I was excited about these things and I wanted people to do it with me and I wanted to make a living off of it. And it sucked the fun out of it just about every day. So just wanted to put that out there. And this virtual assistant business, hiring has always been my nemesis because I always just meet people and I get so excited about them and I'm like, hey, this is going to be awesome. And I think that I have, I have the intuition to know that this person's going to be amazing. And then it's this failure, but I'm too nice. And so I keep paying them and they're not helping me and they're causing me more pain. Like that's been my hiring journey. And all of the amazing people that I've had over the years, it was just luck. It was just luck because I have fired more people than I can remember, like ended up having to fire more people than I can remember. And so with this business, I wasn't passionate about it, but I was passionate about the result that this business got, which is entrepreneurial freedom, freedom from administrative tasks. Our goal is to help entrepreneurs have more time freedom and make more money with virtual assistants. Amazing. And I'm also super passionate about helping the virtual assistants in a recovering country feel better, be able to support their families and have stability. So I'm passionate about those things. And then the how in the middle, I don't have anything to do with the how at this point. So meaning my job is making content and strategizing high level business with my customers. Everything else is handled by my 10 team members, my internal team members. And so if you're passionate about the result, you can build the process to get that result and then hand it off. And that's a beautiful, beautiful thing, which is where I'm at right now. All right, I am going to wrap this up. If this feels good to you, please let me know. I love making entrepreneur content. I have a heart for anybody who feels like they've gone for things and then crashed and failed or gotten stuck both in relationships and business. I have a real heart for that and I want to help people. I mean, those are my people. That's me. I have crashed so many times in my life and here I am standing on the other side and I want to help other people get through that. And so I will be talking, I think, about entrepreneurship and other, more personal growth and development things on this channel. But I just want to hear from you guys what resonates with you. And if this feels good to you, like and subscribe so that you can see more of my stuff. And you've got this. Whatever you're going through right now, you've got this. And I will answer questions. If you have a question, I will make you a video on how to get unstuck from your personal situation or how to live the next chapter of your life. Love and hugs. Bye.